Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Janavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prasajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prasajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prasajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Rajajana Rajana Yashodanandana Rajajana Rajana Yashodanandana Rajajana Rajana Yashodanandana Rajajana Rajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So today's will Esha Hiesha Satvanam. Did he do two or just the one? It's 9 today. Chapter Canto 3, Chapter 6, Text 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sa-adhyatma Sa-adidaiva Sa-adibhuta Iti Trida Virat Anha Dasagadaha Ekada Hidayena Cha Sadhyatma Sadhidhaivascha Sadhibhuta iti drida Sirat prano dasha vidha Ekada hridayena cha Sadhyatma Sahidhaivascha Saribhuta iti drida Virat prano dashavida Ekadat hridayena cha Sadhyatma Sahidhaivascha Saribhuta iti drida Virat prano dashavida Ekada hridayena cha Sadhyatma Sadhidhaivascha Saribhuta iti drida Virat prano dashavidha Ekada hridayena cha Sadyatma sarirayvascha saribhuta iti trida virat prano dasavidha ekadha hidayena cha Savyatma sarirayvascha saribhuta iti trida virat prano dasavidha ekada hidayena cha sa adyatmaha. The body and mind with all the senses. Sa adyatmaha. And the controlling demigods of the senses. Cha and Sa adibhuta. The present objectives. Ati. Thus. Tvitha. Three. Virat. Gigantic. Prana. Moving force. Dashavidha. 10 kinds. Ekada. Only one. One only. Hridayena. Living energy. Cha. Also.
Translation. The gigantic universal form is represented by the 3, 10, and 1, in the sense that he is the body and the mind and the senses. He is the dynamic force for all movements by 10 kinds of life energy, and he is the one part for life energy. This situation. In Bhagavad Gita 7.4 through 5, it is stated that the 8 elements, earth, water, fire, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego, are all products of the Lord's inferior energy, whereas the living entities who are seen to utilize their inferior energy originally belong to the superior energy, the internal potency of the Lord. The 8 inferior energies work grossly and subtly, whereas the superior energy works as the central generating force. This is experienced in the human body. The gross elements, namely earth, etc., form the external gross body and are like the coat, whereas the subtle mind and false ego act like the inner coat of the body. The movements of the body are first generated from the heart, and all the activities of the body are made possible by the senses, powered by the 10 kinds of air of the body. The 10 kinds of air are described as follows. The main air passing through the nose and breathing is called prana. The air which passes through the rectum as evacuated bodily air is called apana. The air which adjusts the foodstuff within the stomach, and which sometimes sounds as belching, is called samana. The air which passes through the throat and the stoppage, of which constitutes suffocation, is called the udana air. And the total air which circulates throughout the entire body is called the yana air. Similar than these 5 airs there are others also. That which facilitates the opening of the eyes, mouth, etc. is called naga air. The air which increases appetite is called krikara air. The air which helps concentration is called purva air. The air which helps relaxation by opening the mouth wide in yawning is called Devadata air. And the air which helps sustenance is called Hare. All these hairs are generated from the center of the heart, which is one. This central energy is superior energy, Lord, who is seated within the heart with the soul of the body, who acts under the guidance of the Lord. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 15:13 as follows. Sarvasya Vidi Sadevishno Vatasmati Jnanamo Cha Vidarsha Sadaya Medavedu Complete central force is generated from the heart by the Lord, who is seated there, who helps the conditioned soul to remember and forget. The conditioned state is due to the Lord's forgetfulness of his relationship or subordination to the Lord. One who wants to continue to forget the Lord is helped by the Lord to forget him earth after earth. But one who remembers him by dint of association with him is helped to remember him more and more. Thus, the conditioned soul can ultimately go back home, back to God. This transcendental help by the Lord is described in Bhagavad Gita 10:10 as follows. Tesham Satata Yutanam Jatanam Priti Gurvatam Udam Yutanam Yanamam Upayanam. The Buddha Yoga process of self-realization with intelligence transcendental to the mind, emotional service, can alone elevate one from the conditioned state of material attainment to the cosmic instruction. Conditioned state of the living entity is like that of a person who is within the depths of a huge mechanical arrangement. The mental speculators can reach the point of Buddha Yoga after many, many lifetimes of speculation, but the intelligent person who begins from the platform of intelligence above the mind makes rapid progress in self-realization. Because the Buddha Yoga process entails no fear of deterioration or retrogression at any time, it is the guaranteed path to self-realization, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 2.40. The mental speculators cannot understand that the two birds, sitting in one tree are the soul and the super soul. The individual soul eats the fruit of the tree, while the other bird does not eat the fruit, but only observes the activities of the eating bird. Without attachment, the witnessing bird helps the fruit-eating bird perform fruitful activities. One who cannot understand this difference between the soul and the super soul, or God and the living entities, is certainly still in the entanglement of the cosmic machinery, and thus must still wait in time when he will be free from bondage. Translation again. The gigantic universal form is represented by 3, 10, and 1, in the sense that he is the body, the mind, and the senses. The living force for all movements by 10 parts of life energy, and he is the one heart where life energy is generated. So complex starts to import by the material elements which form the gross material body. So the first statement is that the universal form is represented by 3. So that's being described first, that there's the body, the mind, and the senses. So the body is made of 8 gross material elements, or rather, the body is made out of the 5 gross material elements, and then there's mind, intelligence, and false ego. And the mind is the king of the senses, which is called the sixth sense. And these body, mind, and senses form the coat and then subsequently the inner clothing of the body. But there's still the person underneath, which is actually the soul. And Prabhupada describes how intelligence is kind of like next door neighbors with the soul, and how they're very closely related. This Prabhupada goes on to describe how Buddha yoga process. So twice he mentions, and this is a very nice sentence here, which is very holistic. Self-realization with intelligence transcendental to the mind, devotional service, can alone elevate one from the conditioned state of material entanglement in the cosmic construction. So we ourselves, we find ourselves here in this cosmic construction, and we are in fact materially entangled. What is that material entanglement? Prabhupada describes that entanglement, right, is due to our forgetfulness of our relationship with the Lord. That's stated a little bit above. The conditioned state is due to the soul's forgetfulness of his relation of subordination to the Lord. One who wants to continue to forget the Lord is helped by the Lord to forget him birth after birth, but one who remembers him by dint of association with the devotee of the Lord is helped to remember him more and more. Thus, the conditioned soul can ultimately come back home, back to Godhead. So this is amazing that our conditioned state is due to our forgetfulness of our relationship of subordination to the Lord. But one who remembers that relationship by dint of association with the Lord's devotee, he's helped to remember that relationship more and more. I like the way that Prabhupada worded that here, because it stresses that remembrance of the Lord and subordination to the Lord is caused by the association of a pure devotee, or a devotee, I should say, because we find it many times that in this material world, somebody will meet one of the servants of a pure devotee who himself is still struggling with the principles of devotional service, and they can do great benefit to others by reminding that person of their subordination to the Lord. So the devotee of the Lord is very special, and he is used as an instrument of the Lord's compassion. It's actually said that the Lord has manifested his mercy, his mercy in the form of the spiritual master. And actually, there's a word for that. It's he is there's somewhere where Prabhupada describes like Kripa Shakti or something, that the spiritual master is actually the manifestation of the mercy of the Lord. And so those who are his servants, their role is to be extensions of his compassion and his mercy. And actually, that's our only prayer. That's our only prayer, is to simply be instrumental to the compassion of our spiritual master and to become a servant of him. And we hear this. I was telling a lot of devotees about this, how it's so amazingly reassuring that Narottam Das Thakur, he prays, right? He says, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Kodyash. There's Pada and there's Padma. Pada means the feet. Padma means lotus. So Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Kodyash. It is my desire. My desire is the lotus feet of Guru and Vaishnavas. Nama Sankirtana Kohe Narottama Das. Therefore, I chant the holy names. Therefore, this Narottam Das is chanting the holy names. Isn't it? I'm performing this Nama Sankirtana, right? Desiring what? The lotus feet of the Guru and the Vaishnavas. And that's amazing. And I was just thinking about it, that is literally who I am. I am not just like adopting desire to serve the devotees and the Guru for some other purpose. That's literally who I am. I'm their servant eternally. That's my identity. That's my real identity. So it's amazing that it's not like I'm adopting some process in order to then, get to some stage where I don't desire the feet of the Guru and the Vaishnavas. Does that make sense? It's not that the feet of the Vaishnavas and the Guru are a means to an end, which is different, but rather that's what makes Buddha Yoga so amazing, is because it is the means to that same end, because that's who I literally am. I'm literally the servant of the Guru and the Vaishnavas eternally in the spiritual world. That's my real identity. I may have a certain form. I may have a certain rupa or swarupa, may be certain thing, certain form, right? But the basics of that form is that I'm eternally the servant of the Vaishnavas and the Guru. And what's amazing is that in this ISKCON movement, we have Srila Prabhupada, who's the preeminent Shiksha Guru for all of ISKCON and for the whole planet for the next 10,000 years. And this person, he is our guru, but I serve him by, it's just a fact that I serve him through some of his servants. And somebody else has an association with him, which is more direct than my service to Prabhupada. That's just who I am. I just have that relationship with Prabhupada. That there's other people that help me serve him. And my service to those persons is my life and soul. And if I give up that for service directly to Prabhupada, then I'll be acting outside of the relationship. It's just not who I am. It's just not authentic. Does that make sense? This is that jumping over. Prabhupada described, don't be like a monkey jumping over the heads of the Guru. Just like this. Like, say I like Narottam Das Thakur, which I do, right? But say I'll just jump to him. I'll just take shiksha from him. Whatever he wrote in his books, I'll understand that directly, verbatim. I'll read his words, and I'll execute devotional service according to his instructions as they are. I don't have to see what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said. I don't have to learn from the life of Jagannath Das Babaji. I don't have to understand unlimited shastras, as the books as good as the shastras given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and an amazing, impeccable life of pure devotional service. Even, Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, or our dear Srila Prabhupada. I don't have to understand any of what they said. That's okay. Then I jump over their heads, right? I jump over their heads and I become the direct disciple of Narottam Das Thakur. Now, if the spiritual master in disciplic succession says, you study the words of Narottam Das Thakur and you take those words to heart and you understand them like this, then that's perfect. And that's what we have. We have so many purports given by Srila Prabhupada on all these wonderful literatures and songs and statements by the previous acharyas. And by their mercy, we're able to understand those words. Without contact with the current link in the parampara, then there's no way to actually enter into the nectar and to the understanding of the words of the previous acharyas. It's just not possible. And this was being stated by Krishnendu yesterday, that His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj, who is a very special disciple of Srila Prabhupada, was stating that the words of Sri Guru are literally from a different planet. They're from the spiritual world. Those words are cannot be understood with the material senses. Those words, his words are as good as Krishna, right? His words are as good as Krishna. Does that make sense? Because all he speaks is Krishna Katha. What is Krishna Katha? Krishna Katha is a topic about Krishna. It's literally non-different than himself because Krishna is absolute. Therefore, the vibration coming out of his mouth, right? Shri Guru Mukha Padma Vakya. That Vakya that comes out of his mouth is actually completely transcendental. And it can't be understood by any material senses, which is stated, that Ata Shri Krishna Namadi, Nabhavet Gayam Indriyai. The Indriyas, they cannot actually grasp the substance of this Krishna Katha. This Krishna Namadi, this means Krishna's name, his form, etc. Right? Topics about Bhakti didn't answer the question.
How can someone understand that their position is this service, that that's who they are? Maybe if they have, I don't know. For me, I kind of thinking like it might be easy for someone to see that this is their position if they're like involved in ISKCON and they come to the temple and they're associating with the devotees, but. Can someone see that outside? Or anywhere outside of a devotee association, outside of ISKCON, outside of hearing any of these ideas, and still come to the understanding that that they're the servant of the representative, or the people of God, or they have that this is who they are. Like there's no, like that's like the final identification, is that they have this service to the people of God and pure devotees and Guru and whatnot.
Yeah, so I'll just repeat the question. The question is whether it's possible for somebody to realize their position as an eternal servant of the devotees and Guru and Krishna without direct association with this ISKCON movement. That's okay? So Prabhupada actually discussed he was asked about a great saint named Saint Francis of Assisi, and it was described that he would address the animals and the plants as brother and sister. And Prabhupada said, this is first class God consciousness. That's first class God consciousness. If somebody actually sees that way, right? If somebody at least theoretically sees that way, they've understood that. That means that the Lord has blessed them with transcendental knowledge, because it's actually a fact, isn't it? That's transcendental knowledge given in the 5th chapter, that actually all these beings are seen with equal vision. Pandita Sama Darshana, right? Because the Lord resides within the heart, and that person is actually the eternal servant of the Lord. So one who sees brother and sister in everyone, that person is actually seeing in a transcendental way. So it is possible to attain, remembrance of the Lord. But what is the only way? By contact with a devotee. That's the only way to do it. It's not possible to revive our God consciousness without contact with a devotee. somehow the devotee of the Lord, association with that devotee awakens remembrance. The Lord says, if you associated with my devotee, now I'll let you remember me. That's how it is. So persons who are connected with pure devotees like Lord Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, people that are connected with Srila Prabhupada, people that are connected with the sincere servants of those persons, right? There's also bona fide acharyas from sampradayas, other Vaishnav sampradayas besides the Brahma Sampradaya, which is our part of our ISKCON movement, right? But those persons are actually devotees. This is the thing, is that the devotee, the persons who are actually devotees, they can, by their association, somebody can remember the Lord. And actually, that's the whole idea behind the way that, Prabhupada has pretty much asked us to be with the people. Without being with the people, there's no chance to give them the opportunity for devotional service. Now, what's amazing, and this was stated by some very nice Vaishnavas, they described how with technology, I can be anywhere and I can be with the people. I can be with the people through my records. I can be with the people through, through my podcast or through my videos or through my lectures like that, through my books. Specifically, that is the transcendental plot of this Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya. The books, the plot. The book plot is that these books are so authoritative. They're so special. It's very amazing that this object is revered by society at large. This object, have you noticed that? When something is put inside of a binding with a certain type of a cover and a certain type of a printing process, this object is universally revered as a valuable thing. And even if it's completely bogus and everybody knows it, somehow it'll end up in the thrift shop. It'll end up in the, the Goodwill or whatever the heck it is. And it's completely useless literature, but somebody says, well, it's a book, maybe somebody will like it. Isn't it? Hardly do people destroy these things purposefully. Hardly, So it's amazing that this is the transcendental plot that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hatched with the six Goswamis, that you, my disciples, you will actually inspire others to take devotional service. You will inspire the Lord to remind them of himself through contact with your association through these books, which are about Krishna. And they went on and they wrote, and that is our line, is to spread transcendental literature to every nook and corner. That way, nobody can escape Srila Prabhupada's books. And you will see it's already happening. Nobody will be able to escape association with the devotee, because these books will be every single place. Your grandma will have them. They'll be in the donut shop. They'll be in the Starbucks. They're going to be on everyone's shelves. They're going to be at the colleges. They're going to be every single place, right? And people are going to think whatever they're going to think. But by association with these books, they are remembering the Lord, because the Lord has agreed that if somebody associates with the devotee, I will remind them of myself. So We pray to the Lord to be able to be instruments of the mercy of the Acharyas. We may, by His grace, set aside all of our contamination and anarthas and endeavor wholeheartedly to become servants of the servants of the servants. And thank you for considering our request. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, there should be one right there.